Transformers digital event with Bluefin. My name is David Clark, brand manager over at Bluefin. I'm here with a couple other clowns from Bluefin. How you guys doing?
Fabulous, thank you.
Amazing, thank you.
And more importantly, I am here with Jason Marnocha, the voice of Megatron. How's it going, sir?
It's going well, thank you.
Oh, that's so cool.
Megatron's so polite today.
Oh man, thank you for coming. We really appreciate this. I really loved War for Cybertron.
Well, thank you. I'm glad to hear that. I think again after rewatching it again, I have a good time with it too. So I'm pleased to hear that. Thank you.
Awesome. So before we jump into it, just want to remind everybody that we do have our Transformer sale going on Bluefin Brands. You can get some of our model kits. We do have a couple of the Kurokawa Curry diecast figures. For Optimus, we literally I think have like one or two of him left. So jump on that real quick. So those are available. And our friends at IDW have also helped us out. They have given us a code Galvatron, that between now and the end of the weekend, you'll be able to get 30% off on anything Transformers from their site. So definitely hop on over there and show your support. They even have Transformers and My Little Pony, which has the most adorable Grimlock on the planet. So you've got to go.
That's fantastic.
So
can you brush Grimlock's hair?
You know, it's just a comic for now.
It doesn't come with like a little strip of someone's hair just attached.
One day.
You have to provide that on your own, Justin. You provide your own hair.
I know a hair guy. It's fine.
All right. Well, let's get into it. So I mean, first off, what's it like being Big Bad Megatron?
It's interesting because they're kind of big shoes to fill. A lot of amazing actors have voiced Megatron over the years. So it was kind of daunting the very first time I voiced him in the Prime Wars trilogy, and then before War for Cybertron. So it was an interesting challenge, but it's a whole lot of fun because he just gets to be as big and bad as the script requires, and it's neat in War for Cybertron that we get some nuance to him, and he's not like just the big bad. He's got a little more meat to the character. So that was a lot of fun to chew on, and I look forward to seeing the next two installments as well, and seeing where we get to go with that. So it's ultimately a lot of fun.
Do you like cut in front of line or go up to the nice guy with the clipboard up at the club and be like, dude, I'm Megatron, let me in, and say it in his voice?
He just puts me over somewhere else. He's like, yeah, so are those guys.
They're all Megatron. We got a line of Megatron.
All those nerds have tried
it. So you mentioned some interesting things there really fast on War for Cybertron, how we got to see a little bit more nuance with Megatron. And I did think it was pretty crazy that there's this part where Impactor's having a conversation with Autobots saying, Megatron and I were in the mines together. We were digging up Energon cubes while you Autobots were snorting up lines of Energon in your penthouses. Like we got a peek of this idea of Megatron isn't always a bad guy. He's fighting for his people and his way of life, and he's tired of it. And he's risen up. And so was that a fun little take for you to be a part of that?
Yeah, very much. It was because again, it's easy to create an evil character and just sort of have them be evil. But what I like about Megatron in so many iterations is that he does get to have a little more meat to him, and in our show included, he gets to really there's that scene where he gets annoyed with Optimus, where he's just like, you did nothing, and we were all slaving away in the Energon mines, and all that stuff. And so yeah, that was a really neat part for me, because it's fun to think of him just not being just evil, but it really coming from something was
right.
To get to play with.
Right. I like to compare it to like a Occupy Wall Street, but it's Occupy Cybertron. Right. Like, we are the 99%. And I thought that was an interesting angle. And, he's even like, dude, sign the treaty and this all stops. And, it's his buddy Shockwave that's like, well, I can lay down some serious stuff if you guys are ready for it. And Megatron's like, I don't know if we need to do that quite yet.
Yeah, so, he's not so sure about it at first, because it'd be really easy for him to be like, yeah, let's do it. Why weren't we doing that yesterday? But instead he's like, let's wait, weird scientist man.
Yeah.
Let's
right.
wait on that. All right.
I-
Yes, you're very scary. Let's put that down for a minute and think about this. And then, one thing leads to another. And he's like, all right, do it. You know what? If they're not
Right.
going to sign this treaty,
Let's
never
do
mind.
it. Yeah. I love the annoyance in your voice every time like Shockwave unveiled a new experiment. You're like, really? Another one?
Yeah.
Like,
Who funds this?
right.
Gonna talk with
man.
R&D.
So awesome. So what was your favorite line like during the show?
Oh man, that's tricky.
And you can only pick one.
Oh, you only pick one. Less than 10 words. Go.
Yeah.
And everything else is erased from history.
Yeah, exactly. The rest of it doesn't matter. Honestly, I would say anytime Megatron gets to deliver one of his big speeches in the big arena, I thought was fun because it's so eerie seeing these Decepticon banners everywhere and all the chants of "Hail Megatron" and stuff like that was it's kind of really imposing, and he gets to anytime I got to speechify, I thought was really fun. Especially because it just looks so cool with that huge arena and the big screens of his face and everything. It's very kind of it makes me think of I got the same kind of feeling watching that as I did in Rogue One. There's a bit where before the big tank ambush, if you remember, there's that Imperial tank that's coming through the city,
Right.
And it's kind of in the background, but you can hear someone on a megaphone saying "Truth and justice are the tools of the Empire," and that's really creepy, right? Because that's the Empire's bad. It's like really scary to hear them saying things like that. So I kind of felt a similar thing with Megatron being like, they're trying to take the Allspark off world, and that's going to destroy everything, and him. So I don't know, like pushing that kind of false narrative was really kind of a fun angle for such a weird thing. He's just such a great villain by the end of the show. So
Right, which is funny because I think, I mean, just if I'm allowed to Monday morning quarterback this for a second, like if he would have been perceived as more of a good guy and a hero for a few more episodes, I think it could have been pretty interesting to see the ultimate, like the rise and fall of Megatron. I think that could have worked really, really well, where at first he's trying to protect his people and protect their way of life, and then ultimately becoming the villain that he's destined to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think everything with Ultra Magnus is ultimately what sort of tipped him, because it takes a lot to feel that kind of betrayal because of the way he sees things, and he feels betrayed by Ultra Magnus when he is not going to betray the Autobots because he's Ultra Magnus, and of course he's not going to betray the Autobots. But so I think ultimately Ultra Magnus's fate is probably what twists him in the end, and so I enjoyed building from that, I guess. And we'll have to see where it goes in the next 2 seasons. Because again, I don't really remember exactly what happens. So
They had this nice little city where, like, you're picturing all these sky rises where they go to work and they have an office building.
Yeah,
It's kind of interesting how that worked. There's like
and over there's the slave mines with the Decepticons,
Right.
of course.
Don't look at those. Don't look at those.
Yeah, no. Just go
like,
to your office and file some taxes.
It's like, Optimus, I thought y'all were good guys. What happened? What happened with all that? The slave mines.
Yeah. Can we go back to that and then really consider that sentence there, Optimus?
Don't just gloss over that, Optimus. Come on.
Are you in the booth with other people at any time, or are you always flying solo when you're recording your lines?
Well, with this show, unfortunately, it was just us individually. But I always enjoy getting to record with groups of people because it's very fun to bounce off of each other and read each other's energy or energon, as it were.
There you go.
But no, with this show, we were all recording individually.
Were they giving you anything to look at, or were you just staring off and imagining this wonderful world of Cybertron?
Just had to imagine it. But I mean, initially when I would walk in and stuff like that, occasionally FJ and Matt and some folks would have like great concept art. The concept art is gorgeous. I really want a print of some of it and put it up on my wall because they showed me like Megatron's throne room thing with all the Decepticon banners and his big creepy throne right there, and they showed me a whole bunch of great art pieces of Cybertron, things like that. So that helped kind of get me into the mood. But we didn't have any animation to look at. No, so it was just all in the imagination.
Did you know? Did you know what Megatron was going to look like? Did they give you
Yes.
kind of that kind of?
Yeah, they did. They did show me the art from Megatron, which was always very helpful to be able to see. And it's pretty G1 looking Megatron, but just
Right.
a little more scraped up and sort of more defined features all over and stuff like that. And his eyes are maybe a little angrier. But
Right.
yeah, so I did get to
Angry
see that
eyes.
first, and I love a battle damaged Megatron, so I enjoyed seeing that first.
They all look like they've seen better days. Even Optimus has like
Right.
that obligatory cracked windshield that you have on your
Yeah.
car for like a
Oh,
year and a
yeah.
half with everyone
Yeah.
commenting on it every time
Yeah.
they get in your car.
And it's not even from battle. I'm sure just a rock kicked up.
Yeah.
On the highway, happens.
Yeah, we're going to actually a lot of questions in the chat. So if you have questions, definitely drop them in the chat. If we have time at the end, Jason will answer as many as we can get to.
Yeah, for sure.
So make sure. We have only gotten one call for Optimus, Justin. So hopefully those will keep coming in. We spent a lot of the last panel pitching Optimus to the nice folks at IDW. So keep those questions going.
I mean, I'm in already just from the title, so
Sure.
I want it now.
My rendition of Beast Wars Optimus would have been an Optimus Prime, where he turns into a
Wait.
moose.
It's perfect.
Jason,
And moose are scary, so like
They are.
they'll screw
They're
you up.
huge.
Like, yeah.
wait, quick question, Jason. Can you say "I will destroy you, Optimus Prime" in Megatron's voice?
Here we go.
I will destroy you, Optimus Prime.
Yeah.
Perfect. You
Oh
just
my
made a
gosh.
little bit of feet come out. I'm not gonna lie.
That's going to be the cover to our pitch to IDW and to Hasbro for an Optimus figure. We're like, Jason's on board.
He wants to do it.
He's ready for it.
Yeah. Very ready for it.
That's right. Thank you for that.
Of course.
Awesome. So, besides Megatron, who would you say is like maybe your favorite Transformer?
Honestly, that which may surprise some folks because of the whole Megatron thing, but Starscream is my next favorite.
Nice.
I do
Good
love
one.
Starscream. Honestly, when we did the Prime Wars trilogy, I initially had wanted to be Starscream. I wanted Starscream more than Megatron, just because his voice is always so fun to listen to, and and he's always so slimy and so conniving and stuff like that. It's just seems like a really fun character. But not that Megatron isn't fun, obviously. But and
Do
then,
you
of
have a
course,
Starscream voice?
Not that I'm willing to share.
I
No,
understand.
but and I mean Frank Todaro is Starscream in our show, and he's just fantastic, and doesn't get much better than that. So I'm delighted whenever. Sometimes we'll just call each other and be Optimus and Starscream and Megatron on the phone, and just just give each other crap that way.
Oh, man,
That's
that should be
funny.
like viral videos like the Jerky Boys or something like that. You'd be like the Cybertron Boys or something. You get
Yeah, honestly, we
prank call
debated
restaurants.
doing that. Yeah, we debated doing that, just kind of mess around
That's
with
awesome.
things. But
Man.
we
Starscream's
have
like
fun.
a His Girl Friday.
Like I love that dinner show. Like the whole time, it's like, why does he keep trusting Starscream? This seems like not a good idea.
He's a go-getter, David.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's,
like
he's
Megatron.
into
Yeah,
it.
he's trying to get the top. Is what he's trying to get.
Yeah, yeah.
True.
It's
He's
sort
the
of-
understudy.
I like to take it as like, Starscream is still kind of the intern. So he's like, well, let's see what the intern can do. And only after a little while of dealing with the intern will Megatron sort of have to put him down a little bit,
It's
That's
like
kind of that's
Enterprise
one of the things I
rental
loved
cars.
in the show was the the height difference between all the characters. Like for
Yeah.
one, I didn't realize that Jetfire was so huge, but also the Megatron and Starscream, because Starscream's like way down here and stuff, and so pretty easy. You would think it'd be easier for Megatron to sort of intimidate him just by being present, but
That's right. He's got like the little man syndrome or something.
yeah, right. Very very Napoleon complex, I'm sure, with that.
Like
with
the
that
little
guy.
chihuahua that just keeps barking.
He's like, I turn into a jet. I can fly away.
Yeah.
Itty bitty jet.
He is a survivor, though. I'll say that. I mean, Skywarp.
Always.
I mean, not so much, but Starscream. He made it too. He made it.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh,
He's
man.
unkillable. You can't kill Starscream.
No.
Nah. Yeah, he finds a way back.
Yeah, a little
Always,
spark.
forever.
Oh man. So, Jason, like, how did you first create or foster a love for Transformers? Like, when did that like first become a thing for you?
Well, growing up, I had watched Transformers, off and on. It was honestly, without meaning anything by it, it was never much of a thing for me when I was growing up. I wasn't as into that. I was way more of like a 1000% Star Wars guy. So, I was like, this is my sci-fi. No, the rest of it can go over here. No, stay. And then so I would sort of, I don't know why I would box up things like that, because now it's just sort of, anything goes. It's the Wild West of enjoy what you want. It's cool now. But at the time, I would watch Transformers and every now and then and such, but then only when I first got the role of Megatron did I start, really sort of looking into it more. And I certainly have a chunk of Megatron figures and statues now, which is taking up more and more of one of my shelves. But I mean, if everybody would quit making super cool Megatron figures, we wouldn't have this problem. So, but I guess, and I think actually to bring him up again, Frank Todaro, Starscream is a huge part of that, because he is a absolutely diehard Transformers fan, and he knows everything about it and collects everything. His apartment is crazy filled with all sorts of, and not just Starscream, just like every Transformer. So,
Right.
And occasionally he will, do like some goofy thing. Like he had a Starscream figure with like a Megatron and an Optimus in either hand and stuff like that. He'll like just pose them hilariously around the apartment. So it's delightful, the rapport we have. But yeah, he helped foster my appreciation of the brand, because just, I'd be like, hey, so what's this, or what's the best this to buy and such, and he'd be like, oh, obviously it's this one right here, and things like that. Throw me links and whatnot, and he just knew everything I needed and he ever had questions about. So that he helped out a lot, and just from there it's been an uphill climb to just enjoying Transformers more and more in so many iterations. So yeah, I'm
there's a lot of
digging
them
it now.
Right.
Yeah.
And the thing about the toys is, once you get your hands on them and you get to do the whole transforming thing, you really feel like a sense of accomplishment. You're like,
Yeah.
this says 8-year-olds on the box, but it took me like 4.5 hours.
Yeah, I mean, that happened to me with, I still haven't turned the Combiner Wars Megatron back from the tank mode, because I'm just like, I did it. Well, that's perfect. And then I just,
It's like I got a tank.
don't need to do that again. All right.
Now, when you're recording, do you have to stay in the Megatron voice even when you're interacting with, like, the director or other people in the booth, or can you go back and forth kind of like you're doing now?
Thankfully, I just go back and forth, because, I mean, sometimes if we're doing something like that's, really like lean up to the microphone and that deep, quiet intensity or something, then if we're doing that, then he'll be like, hey, could you, read that again and think this? I'll be like, okay, and then just because I don't want to lose where it is in my chest and throat and resonating chambers and stuff. I don't want to lose where I had set that. So on occasion, I'll just respond back, but most of the time, I'll just flip in and out.
Have you ever in the real world accidentally used the Megatron voice?
Oh yes, on accident all the time. I mean, that happens. Just because I know exactly where it sits, like it's like right here in my throat. So usually, like I caught myself doing it today. I went and picked up the mail, and the dude who was delivering the mail, like it had been marked as delivered, but he had put it on the wrong doorstep apparently, which I only found out later. So I went down to the mailbox because it wasn't outside my door. I assumed it was there, and I get down there and I check the mailbox, check under the thing, and I just go. And then I walked, and then because it's just if you're going to make a displeasure sound, it may as well be frustrated Megatron, I guess. So then on my way back, I caught the dude and I'm like, hey, did you deliver anything to my apartment over at this number? And he's like, oh, yeah, sorry, I put it on the wrong porch. Here you go. I thought I went and grabbed it. I'm like, oh, okay, thanks.
Nice.
What's the reaction when you accidentally respond as Megatron to somebody?
Oh, it's usually I'll clear my throat. I'll be like, yeah, yes, thank you so much. You have a wonderful day. And I turn into some sort of like cheesy announcer voice, like, oh, thank you very much, friend. Try to mask it as much as possible.
That's awesome.
When you're ordering a drink at Starbucks, or you got to help some kid at the movie theater, it's his first job, and you're giving them scary voices.
I mean, honestly, I've done drive-through on occasion with the Megatron voice. But
Look, your box is broken, man. I'm talking normal through.
Exactly, yeah. Go to it and I'm like, hi. I just ordered something back there.
Everyone in the whole place is at the drive-thru winning one to see what's this guy look like.
Right.
He looks like that and sounds like that. He's a problem.
That's awesome.
Your order is always correct though when you order like Megatron.
Right.
They don't want you coming back.
No,
Like
exactly.
Megatron just rolled through, y'all. Give him whatever he wants.
Yeah. Like Dr. COVID just drove up, I'm pretty sure.
Don't mess it up.
His voice is horrifying.
I mean, speaking of the voice, how did you develop the voice for Megatron? Like, did you just have it, or did you have to actually like try and figure it out?
Yeah, it went from because when we were originally doing it, we kind of wanted to go from the smooth part of the Megatron voice, which is right here, and then it dips down in here, and then it comes back up and stuff. So, you know, he'll be like, Optimus Prime, accept my treaty. You know, it'll go up and down. So I just thought that would be interesting to emphasize stuff with, and turns out the casting directors liked it, so that was, you know, a big delight for me. But at first, yeah, to develop kind of where that growl was, you know, at first I did sort of a, you know, I'll get you gadget next time thing. But then you bring it out of your throat here, and then it sets right here. So it's a little more present, a little more fierce. So basically just sort of rolling my throat around right here and seeing where I could hit it and land it and make it stay for at least a couple hours, and then I can have some tea and try and maintain it for the rest of these sessions. So that's pretty much.
I mean, are you walking around with like a 40-something ounce like big gulp filled with tea?
Honestly, I mean, I might as well, like, because sometimes, you know, on occasion with sessions I'll bring in like my own thing of honey as well, just to put in the tea and just make it, you know, a little bit, coat the throat a little extra just in case. So I mean, that, you know, because the last thing you want to do is you know, lose your voice, or even you know, get something that happens on occasion, which is throat bleed, which is you just, you know, gash up your throat because you're treating it so hard. But thankfully, I've never actually had any directors who have pushed me that hard, and have, you know, they've all been like, okay, are you okay to, you know, keep going, or do you want a break, or do you want tea? And I'm like, first of all, always more tea. Yes, I will always need that. I mean, you know, just give me the whole pot and put a straw in it, and I'm fine. But yeah, so it can be a tricky voice to maintain for a while.
Do your friends and go ahead.
I was just gonna say, you know, if you do it for too long, I mean, it's not. Is this something you could do, you know, every day for, you know, a week or so, or is this something like you do it for, you know, your 4 to 8 hour session, and then you need like days off to kind of recuperate?
No, I mean, honestly, what I'll usually do if I need to rest my voice is I will just, you know, come back home and just not talk, and just, you know, rest my voice, and then I'll sleep on it and stuff. Usually it'll take me to, if I come close to blowing out my voice, it maybe take me half a day to recover if I just like really don't talk and just, you know, drink warm things and just, you know, let my throat rest and repair itself. But thankfully, no, I have never needed to take a whole bunch of days off. But
you don't walk around with a wipe-off board around your neck to where you can just write everything down so you don't have to talk anymore?
Do not speak to me. I will not answer. Not because I'm a jerk, but just because.
Yeah, I know, right? I've been working all day. I've been talking for hours.
This is a very long message, but please read it.
Do your friends and family pull you in a million different directions at parties? Like, oh my God, do this voice, do that voice.
You know, it's funny. When I was a kid and I would do, because a lot of voice actors start off, you know, doing impressions when they're kids, and they're not necessarily good impressions, and I suppose that's why your family will ask you to do them in front of others, because that happened to me way more when I was a kid than when I did this professionally. It doesn't really happen now, although on occasion, if, you know, I'm at the house and my dad and I are drinking some scotch or something, if I go and visit my parents, on occasion, if there's family around and stuff, he's pretty happy about the Megatron thing, so he'll be like, you know, what would Megatron think of this or whatever. Like, it's peaty, but I think it was barreled on the north side of the hill, you know, or whatever. Just, you know, just doing obnoxious nonsense.
Sommelier Megatron.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what he's for now. Just
your wife's pot roast was quite dry.
If I may say.
Oh man! Well, you know, actually, so I just got a message from a friend of mine, Walter. He's a frontline medical worker right now out there in the chaos, but he's also a huge Transformers fan, and his favorite character is Optimus Prime. So I would like you to say this. I'm dropping it in so you can see it. I feel like this is appropriate to raise his spirits.
Ah. Hello, Walter. I, Megatron, have defeated your hero, Optimus Prime. All hail, Megatron.
Yes.
Rad.
There you go, Walter. That was for you.
Thank you, Walter. Doing amazing work out there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So thank you. That was awesome.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So
Dropping in that voice.
I don't know if you can tell us, but like, what's next for Megatron? Specifically, Netflix Megatron.
Well, again, I'll say this since so that everybody can be aware of this and not ask me on Twitter or something. But I have no idea because again, like I am an excellent NDA signee because I'll sign the non-disclosure agreement, which is basically like, hey, don't talk about the show. But I don't remember anyway because it's so like voiceover is so like gig to gig. Not that I don't pay attention when we're doing it, but it's so like okay, I've wrapped this up and now I have another recording at 3 over here and I have to go do that, and then at 5:30 I have to go and do this. Like there's so much all around that like I don't super log that away. So when I rewatched War for Cybertron, it's like, oh yeah, and then you sort of remember it and things like that. But I admit that I mean there are some things that I do remember, so I'm playing it up a little. But I would encourage you to tune in because I think you'll enjoy it.
When you're recording, is there someone else just saying the other person's lines that you're supposedly talking to make it a little bit easier, or are you just rattling off sentences in a row?
Sometimes that's called reading you in. So the director can be like, "Do you want me to read you in?" And that means read the line beforehand so that you can or back and forth. And sometimes Phil would do that with me, but not all the time. It's also used to going line to line because I do a lot of anime, so. Sometimes the other person's recorded if you're in a scene, and so their English will be also in there when you record your bit, and sometimes it won't. So it's easy to kind of get into the rhythm of just sort of trying to visualize the scene yourself. But I also think it can be super helpful if someone reads the line in for me, just because if you can actually hear the dialogue being said in any capacity, it does, I think, help kind of maintain the scene a little bit.
Right.
Yeah.
You're like, am I winning this conversation or am I losing this conversation?
Did I beat Optimus? What happened?
What's your favorite voice to add? What's your favorite voice to do?
Ooh, Megatron is close, but I had a lot of fun in. There was a Netflix thing that came out not too long ago. It was called Dragon Quest: Your Story. And I voiced Bishop Lodgia in that. And that was a lot of fun to do because I don't get cast for like sort of jokery, cackly, maniacal, slimy characters a lot. So they're a lot of fun to do. I usually get cast as the, deeper, scarier characters and such, which is, and not to complain, but it's fun to mix it up every now and then. So I had a lot of fun with that voice. And also there's a video game out now from Riot Games called Valorant, where I voice a character called Omen. Who's really spooky. Like he's sort of a ghostly apparition kind of character, and he's really fun too. So I do like playing the bad guys, I will say. Playing the bad guys is always more fun for me.
Do you have any bucket list properties that you would like to be a part of, like Star Wars or He-Man or anything like that?
Oh gosh, Star Wars for sure. Definitely DC, Marvel, like the pretty much the big ones. I would love to do. I'm really hoping that sometime I'd love to voice Doctor Doom or something like that, or
that'd be cool.
Character. I love Doctor Doom, so that'd be really fun.
So's David.
Good. And any kind of DC Batman villains would be really fun. So yeah, I'd be down for any of those properties. I think that'd be a blast to do. So those are bucket list things, and I'm not even feeling Doom was a throwout, but I'm not even that specific, honestly. Like anything I can do in that world would just be really, really fun for me. So
all right, Marvel, if you're watching,
Dr. Doom right there.
Call this man.
I had to spend like 30 minutes explaining to my children last night who Dr. Doom was. And then after I'm like, why are you guys so interested in Dr. Doom? And he's like, oh, he's in Fortnite now. I'm like, figures.
Somehow I saw it building to Fortnite, and yet I didn't expect it. And then there it was.
I almost feel like it's the MCU's way of letting us know that like Dr. Doom's going to be a big deal coming forward, because they're like, we're setting the seeds with all these 10 to 14-year-olds right now. So they all know who Dr. Doom is. So then we drop him in as the next big baddie for like the Avengers or Fantastic Four.
Oh my gosh, I hope so. I mean, he could, he could fight Doctor Strange. He could fight anybody. Like Doom is an all-inclusive villain, so he can go up against anybody, and I'd be down for it.
He has an all-inclusive resort island for villains.
Visit Latveria. Hey, at least the trains run on time.
If you could voice anyone in Star Wars, since you said you're a big Star Wars fan, who would it be, taking out the obvious choice of the big baddie Darth Vader?
Oh, I'd love to voice Darth Vader, but that's such a particular voice. I don't know if I could really pull that off exactly, but I would love to voice again, bad guy. Throw me a bad guy. I'll be a snooty officer number 6. Sort of comes in and is like, Lord Vader, I'm afraid you left the seat up again in the bathroom. It doesn't matter. Whatever, whatever things, because everyone bothers Darth Vader for everything. So I assume that's one of the issues people would take. He's just trying to sit in his meditation chamber and hang out, but he takes his stuff and everybody comes in and annoys him. But
I equate that to like parents in the bathroom and their kids just keep knocking on the door. There's like no privacy moments.
Exactly.
It's like, really, guys? I'm just trying to breathe right now.
Yeah, he's like, I'm not sitting here checking my emails. I'm sitting here trying to meditate. Do you mind? Look, Piet, get out of here.
Right now.
I'm my entire life in agony.
Yeah, exactly.
This is my 10
Everything
minutes,
hurts all the time. Could you not? I'm going to choke someone through the television. Here I go.
Jumping out of hyperspace too early.
Oh, my God. Who hired Admiral Ozzel anyway? But I think I would love to voice, Sith character. Make one up or whatever is perfectly fine with me. But certainly a bounty hunter character would be really fun. Just, a really kind of gruff, scary character would be fun. Or even just some, weird alien who's just trying to sell someone, 4 pieces of scrap instead of 2.
Right.
So he's really, really pushing this character I just made up.
Evil Ewok.
Yes, there you go. The deranged Ewok.
I think he could be a good Darth Revan. Also, we need more Darth Revan.
Oh, there's never enough Darth Revan. Never, ever, ever. I'd love to play Darth Revan. That'd be fun.
Disney, make it happen.
Oh, please. Because, I think Revan might be making something of a comeback. Didn't FX just come out with a Darth Revan lightsaber?
Yeah,
I think. Really? You're picking Revan?
Yeah,
awesome.
I think there's some Revan rumblings about in the Force.
It's revving up. Yeah.
It's time. Either him or Darth Bane. I'll take either one.
Oh, Darth Bane, of course.
See, I always thought that Lord Malak was a pretty creepy villain, like in Old Republic. I just remember when I first saw him, he's in that super red outfit and looks like a bunch of duct tape around his body, and then he's missing his jaw, but he was like terrifying. I really thought that
There's
he nailed
something about Sith kind of characters where they have to be on breathing apparatuses or have mechanical limbs. It's like, guys, keep yourselves together,
right?
Please. And then the Jedi are all just kind of, with nicely coiffed hair, just hanging out. But that's because mostly they just sit around and talk.
Well, to be fair, all like one of them that's still around, like
right.
They keep getting wiped out.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, falling to pieces.
You do like your battle damage characters, and Sith definitely have battle damage.
Oh yeah, absolutely, always.
They
should get better. If they do it to themselves, like cosmetically. Yeah, it's just like, oh man, I've been breathing too easy lately. I'm gonna take,
Yeah, pain is power, guys. Come on.
Exactly, there it is. It drives your rage. So
that's what made Megatron take over Cybertron.
Right.
They gotta be angry. They take off their shirt when they play basketball because
they do. It's like, no, we're playing shirts and skins. Don't take it off. Oh, fine. We'll put ours back on then.
You guys are shirts.
Oh man.
There's something that's lost. I don't think they do shirts and skins anymore.
I don't think so. No, that's a good point.
I remember being a kid and I'm like, shirt. Oh, man.
Then again, it's also a thing. I don't think I've seen any basketball hoops without nets in them in a long time either.
Yeah.
Because I'm used to that kind of thing. If I'm playing shirts and skins out in, back in Indiana where I grew up or something, none of the hoops had nets left in them. So,
But then that's okay though, because then when you miss it, you can be like, "No, I went in." You just didn't see
exactly,
the
it
net.
totally went in. How could you tell? Well, there's this much of a hoop going around it, so I'm pretty sure.
It's always funny when that happens. Like, wait, did that one go in? It
Yeah.
looked like it went in. We'll go ahead and count that one this time.
Of course, it went in.
Yeah, and that's how Megatron wins the war.
There you go.
What kind of warm up goes into getting into the Megatron voice to be able to record? I'm assuming it's not something you can just jump into and do for a long time, or is that the case to where you just have where it is in your throat and you can just do it whenever?
At this point certainly I can just hop into it usually, but for my own vocal safety, I will, which sounds so like my own vocal safety, but just so I don't explode my throat in the middle of a session or something. But yeah, usually I'll warm up my throat anyway, and there's a whole bunch of, gosh, back in college when I started doing acting of any kind, warm-ups were like things like that to get your lips all done or whatever. I don't really do that. What I do that I find helps me the most is I actually, on the way to a session, I'll just sing, because I find that I'll put on a tune and I'll sing it or whatever, because I just find that opens up my throat a little more. It gets me to articulate my mouth a little more, so that's a little more in sync with my my brain. If it's early in the morning, because some of these sessions were like 9 a.m. and whatever, or 8 a.m. or 8:30. And, having to bring this that early in the morning can be trying. So,
What are you singing? Like Twisted Sister or like Pavarotti? What are you rocking out to?
It's very Manilow. It's Manilow.
Oh yeah, it's all Manilow all the time. No,
Yeah.
And actually sometimes in order to get into the voice, I will sing it in the Megatron voice. So
Perfect. Girls
if
just
someone had
wanna
been
have
filming
fun.
that, they would have some Sinatra with Megatron. But usually it's it's AC/DC, and
Nice.
sometimes I just crank on the radio itself. It depends. So whatever I'm feeling on the day, if I want to go in and feel a little more pumped and whatnot.
There you go. My singing voice is like a cross between AC/DC at 200 years old and the seagull from Little Mermaid. It's
Oh,
pretty
damn.
bad. It's pretty.
I mean, that's a
gnarly.
great set of things to explain it. At least that's fantastic.
It won't win any awards, but I can rock out in car karaoke, to say the
That's
least.
the important thing. The way I see it. Yeah,
It
because
is wholly
anybody's
you.
driving by and then there's me, jamming out to something anyway. I'm already gonna look a fool. So
Right. Sit in the roof of your car, like, yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
Looking right in their face.
Yeah. Open the window and lean out. Join me.
That's rad.
They're like, which way you going? I'm going the other way.
Yeah. Oh man. Well, I'll catch you next time.
Sure. No, I remember reading a lot of concerns about voice acting and safety, and long hours, and like unionizing, and whether it be video games or movies or whatever, everything has just been amplified to a whole nother level. Especially when you take in like motion capture. You have people like Andy Serkis who redefined what it means to do motion capture and being like 100% invested in that role. And then now video games are practically like movies now. They're $100 million budgets, and people are working ridiculous hours. And it's not just talking into a microphone anymore. The whole job has evolved.
Oh yeah.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah. It's absolutely crazy. Like I've never done any mocap, mainly because I have a bad knee, so I actually walk with a cane. So I can walk, but it's uncomfortable if it's cooler out and whatever. But my knee can act up or be stiff on the day or whatever. It's difficult to move around. So I don't think I could really manage a mocap thing. So I've always hoped, like, please don't let this next thing be, a mocap thing. Like, oh no. But I'd be happy to do like face mocap, I guess. But as long as I don't have to shave this off, because I don't look like I'm 12. But but yeah, it's actually pretty crazy. Like sometimes they'll just work these poor actors for hours and hours and hours in these mocap suits, just doing this without breaks, without consideration. They don't really get residuals off video games. So
Right.
there's a whole lot of stuff with video games that's kind of not super great in the biz, but I think things are moving forward and improving a little bit in that area. So one step at a time, I guess. But
Right. The conversations
I
that
feel
started.
for those folks. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely a lot to it. When you look at a game like Last of Us 2, right, where Naughty Dog is making it look as real as possible, and these people are doing the mocaps, and there's all these behind-the-scenes stuff, and they're making this magic happen, and you're just like, thousands and thousands of hours later, this is your finished product, and then you're like, okay, on to the next one, I guess. Let me take some pills, some vitamins, and move on.
Honestly, I kind of miss the, I'm not saying PS1 graphics or something where everything sort of looks like it's cut out of diamond. But I mean, just something more stylized. I don't know. The super hyper realistic stuff is never really does it for me. I like the more stylized stuff myself in terms of video games.
Sure.
Yeah,
that's fair. Because like with Call of Duty, right, when there was that one where Kevin Spacey's the bad guy, and all of a sudden all you see is Kevin Spacey on your TV, like that was playing Call of Duty.
When the mocap makes it actually look like the actor, that's always kind of
you're like, all right. That's cool, I guess. I can appreciate how real it looks, but it just kind of took me out of it in its own weird way. Versus like Pac-Man just chomping along the side.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Give me some 8-bit.
That's the gig. I want a mocap Pac-Man. You're like,
oh man. Just put mocap dots like on your arm and on your other arm, and you just do this the rest.
Totally. Oh man. So quick question. A lot of people I know are aspiring voice actors. What kind of advice would you give them? Like what kind of mic do you use and all that stuff? Because I mean, first off, you sound amazing. Like that mic is like hyper clear, and I mean, on top of your awesome voice already. So what kind of advice do you have for aspiring people out there?
Well, first of all, thank you. And second, I guess I would say definitely investing in good equipment is important. I use a Neumann TLM 103, and this is a vocal booth from vocalbooth.com. So those are definitely, the equipment can add up. But if you're really looking to pursue this, professionally, there is something to making sure you have the good equipment. But behind the good equipment, as the saying goes, voice acting is small v, large A. The voice part, doing silly voices isn't really the big draw of it, the big important part. The big important part is the acting. So, take improv courses, do stand-up comedy, do theater. There's all sorts of ways to, even performing music. Like, there's a whole lot of ways to sort of get used to microphone spaces. And I find that those are some good ways to get into it. And, just play with your voice as well, see where you can go, what's comfortable. Because also one of the big tricks about voiceover is like, if you have, if you're going to do a voice, make sure that you can maintain that for a few hours, Try not to, like Megatron, at first I wasn't sure I was going to be able to do that, but thankfully I've figured out how to do that without hurting myself. I'm going to headbutt my mic though. But so make sure that the acting is really solid, and then see what you can do with your voice. I mean, because there's all kinds of stuff that you can get cast for. That's kind of the beauty of voiceover, is like you don't have to, look a certain way. You can play whatever. You can play a talking shoe, or and then later on in the day go and play Megatron or whatever. Like that's kind of the fun of voiceovers. It's always just a mixed bag of different things. So.
Just sounds like lazy casting. They weren't looking for a 25-foot metal robot that turns into a tank for the part. They just cast anybody.
I mean, one of those lives next to me, so like I don't know why they didn't just ask him, but
he's sitting there all sad, like, oh, stole my part.
That was perfect for me.
Damn it. Jason got another one of my parts. Move.
I'm literally built for this.
I have to move back into my parents now.
Move back into the parents' garage. It's an airplane hangar.
Yeah, I told them I was gonna make it.
Oh man.
My dad, the aircraft carrier, is never going to let me live down.
Man. Well, this has been awesome, man. Thank you so much for.
It's been my pleasure. You guys have been great. Thank you.
Yeah.
This has been delightful. You guys are hilarious.
Yeah, and if we ever get the Project Optimus Prime off the ground, I'm gonna hit you up. Be like, hey.
I'm there. Yeah, already. I'm so in.
We need to have shirts made, man. I've been campaigning this since like a year. I mean, I've just been here for a year now, and since like my first day when I met David Clark, I'm like, okay, hear me out.
You want to sit down for this one.
Optimus Prime. He looks exactly like Optimus when he has antlers. That's the only difference.
And yet he's
Oh,
still
man.
like as serious and as grounded and as real as he
Of
always
course.
is. But he's just got the moose antlers like it's a Monty
Yeah.
Python sketch.
Sure, he's a real moose. He looks good.
Oh man,
Like,
yeah.
you put a mural of him on the side of a van, and it'd look amazing. You know,
Yeah.
that kind of
I'm
that
gonna
kind
put
of
one on the side of my car.
That's part 2 of the Netflix series, guys. It's Optimus Prime.
Oh, we spoiled it.
Oh man, they're gonna kill me.
Jason's never going to work in this town again.
Nope,
Oh,
it's gonna go
no.
to my neighbor, the 25-foot robot.
Oh man.
It's all his now.
Oh well. Before we go, I just want to remind people once more. You have a chance to go on and get some awesome Transformers model kits. Megatron is here, obviously. We have some Optimus, not Optimus.
Not yet.
Feel free to come on over and check it out. And don't forget, support our friends over at IDW, who make a lot of the comics. So definitely come over here and support them. Use code Galvatron. It's on the screen. Bam. If you don't know how to spell a Galvatron, there it is. But definitely, thank you to everyone coming out and supporting us. We really appreciate all the Transformers love. So it's been really good. David, any last comments before we head out?
No, just huge thanks to Jason. Make sure to follow us at Bluefin Brands and at Flame Toys USA, and bluefinbrands.com is where you're going to go. So, Jason, thank you. You were more than a good sport. I'm sure you get asked a million times to say a million different things as Megatron, and we appreciate you humoring us.
I'm happy to do it always, especially because you guys let me say, Optimus. So
there we go. That'll be my legacy. It'll be on my epitaph.
It's happening, Justin. It's happening.
I'm excited. I love it. I can't take it. Dream come true.
Oh man,
I am sitting in my own pee right now. I'm so.
I'm glad it's yours and not somebody else's. That
would be.
It gets a little weird that way.
No.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Jason. We'll see everybody else at 3:00 for our Flame Toys panel, where we're just gonna be talking about toys and stuff. So come on back for that. And those guys right there.
Toys.
One of these directions. Anyways, until then, guys, we'll see you later.